drawing from others. And today we're going to draw from each other and hopefully draw out of you what you've discovered this week, because it's our Discoveries of the Week episode. That's right, my favorite episode of the week. All that's coming up today on today's Antidote. That's right, today on today's Antidote. I did it.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, I did it. I do it at least once every couple weeks, and I did again today. The today. You also threw me because usually you give me a 3 count into the start, and you gave me a 5 count, and those extra 2 seconds really threw me.
It didn't give you more time to think? Or is that the problem?
I demonstrated very clearly that was not the issue.
Less is more. Fair enough. All right, welcome everyone. Good morning to this episode of today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast, where we have a conversation around a topic. Usually those topics relate to what's going on in your professional lives, although they tend to bleed over into what's going on in your personal lives as well, and can be beneficial to help you take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And all week we have been talking about drawing from others and some really great concepts. And today we are going to share our discoveries of the week, which to me is always fascinating to see what we discover throughout a week of conversations around a topic. So before we get to that, though, we start every episode with our celebrations. What are you celebrating today, Bob?
So, Tom, we're recording this episode, and the reason being, for me at least, is I've got a gang of nephews who are getting together. Most of them are in town for the Easter weekend, and they invited their uncle to play some golf with them. So I'm celebrating the moment when your nephews who are younger suddenly become adults and invite you out as an adult. And, you know, I think there's also a component of that is, hey, afterwards we're going to go out, and Uncle Bob, we'd really love for you to pay for our beverages, but that's okay. I can live with that. So I'm celebrating the fact that I had a nephew call me and say, hey, we're playing golf on Friday morning. I don't know if you can fit into your schedule, but you really have to come. We really want you to be able to do it, which was just incredibly touching.
So I wonder, you know, as you were talking about that, I got thinking, which is more enjoyable, being the uncle who the nephews,
to the kids?
Well, so no. So the nephews have now gotten to the point where they include you in their stuff.
Yes.
Or when you're the nephews who are now old enough to be included in like the adult activities.
Well, I think, one of the things, and I have 23 nieces and nephews, so I've put some work into this, and I'm close with probably at least half of them. There are steps in their development where the relationship shifts a little bit. Like there's a point where the sarcasm comes out of me, and they really start to learn sarcasm. And there's a point where I use an obscenity with them, and you get that look like, what? And then there's that point where you start talking about things that are more adult. You know, they're getting into the phase like at college and girls and guys and, you know, relationships. And even one of my nephews, when he was thinking of marrying someone, asked me what love was. How did I know I was in love? Which was not what I was expecting to be answering while I was out doing yard work with him. But it's really... I don't know about anyone else, but for me, when they're adults, it's so much fun to not have to be uncle, nephew, or uncle, niece, but just be two people that care about each other. And the walls go down. I'm pretty much who I am with them now when they're adults as I would be with you. There's not that, oh, this is my nephew, I shouldn't say this. They can handle it. And they've been a couple of them, I've been going through some things outside of here, and a couple of them have been really, really supportive and incredibly insightful.
Cool.
You know, a 21-year-old niece of mine told me something that just knocked my socks off. I'm like, how do you know that? She's like, I see it in you. I was like, oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I like that.
So, yeah.
All right, I'm going to stay along that line. My celebration is family. I think that Easter is a great time to bring this season, to bring people together. And I know my daughter's coming home this weekend, and my son will be around. And so it'll be nice to be around family. Even though I don't think we're going to all be together at the same time, the opportunity to spend time with them is always precious and enjoyable. And so I look forward to that.
Are there any boyfriends and girlfriends coming along too to really mix it up?
Oh, yes. Yes. Actually, for both, my middle daughter's boyfriend is coming with her, and my son will be with his girlfriend when I see them later tomorrow night.
That speaks volumes that the kids include that other person in the family stuff.
Sure.
That makes, you know, I always notice it with my nieces and nephews that when they invite a boyfriend or girlfriend to a family thing, it's like, this person has met the standard to be at this thing. And also, we want to give you a preview of this person I really like, which of course for me is so much fun.
Yeah, I'm sure you're one of those.
With Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob is known to ask a lot of interesting questions. And usually now the boys and girls are prepped for it with, hey, my uncle's going to be there. Watch out, because he's going to corner you and ask you a lot of questions. So what I've been doing for the last couple of years is not asking questions and just leaving them on the hook like 3 or 4 times. And one of my nieces-in-law actually said to me, she's like, so when are you going to actually ask me questions? I know you're dying to. I'm like, okay, you're ready for it. And I said, you know, why do you like my nephew? And she's like, he's this, this, this. I said, okay, that's all. It's like, I was prepped. I was worried about you were going to ask me about this and this and this. And just
so you're that uncle, huh?
I am that uncle. Yes. But I will tell you also, they ask afterwards, like, what did you think? You know, it's a running joke in the family that I ask the hard questions, but it's also, I see them following up with a text or a phone call saying, hey, what did you think of her? What did you think of him? I saw you talking to him. Did you like him? And of course, you know, if you're any kind of good uncle, you say, of course, you know, yeah, he's great. He seems like he's really into you or something. If they're really like amazing, you go a little further.
Okay, fair enough.
So there, I guess today's episode so far has been how to be an uncle, which I don't know. I don't know if I'm qualified. Maybe I'm qualified, but
you are one, so I think you're qualified.
Okay, well, and
you can at least share what's real for you.
What's that?
You can at least share what's real for you.
Yes, I was going to say, I was trying to get around to that, but you beat me to it. All right, so let's talk about this. What's your discovery? I'm sorry, Tom. What is you did your celebration. We need to talk about something for the Renegade folks. What are we celebrating as Renegades today? And why don't we just make it family? Because that's been the theme so far. And okay. I think I would add to family, as we've been talking all week about drawing from others. I draw a lot from family. I'm blessed to have people in the family who are in a lot of different industries, and I love talking about what they're doing, what they're struggling with. I love sharing with them what's going on in my world, and I've gotten connections, I've gotten business, I've gotten opportunities just by having those open discussions and saying, I'm looking for X. And they go, oh, wow, that's really good. So if you're having that awkward discussion with someone about, you know, wow, it's really warm out. Yeah, the Orioles look really good this year. You might actually delve into something a little heavier and just see what you get. Doesn't cost you anything, and you'd be surprised.
There you go. Giving people advice to go to family gatherings and dive into topics that may be sensitive.
Hey, I'm looking for a lawyer. How would that be sensitive?
Okay. So you're not talking about.
I'm not saying go into politics or religion or, you know, don't go there, but talk about what's real for you and just, hey, when they ask you about business, oh, it's going okay, but I would really be doing a lot better if I could figure out how to make the supply chain work faster. Oh, I have a friend who was talking about that. He's really good at that. Boom.
There you go.
We don't often include our families in what we're trying to accomplish. It's almost like, no, I don't want to permeate that wall. But I find that, the more families know what I'm doing, the more they can help, and the more they actually are looking out for opportunities for me. I've gotten speaking engagements through family members. I've gotten clients through family members. I've gotten opportunities, other things through family members, just by being open with them when they say, hey, how's it going? It's good. It could be better versus, oh, I'm killing it. Everything's perfect.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work for you, please, on Monday, come back and share in the comments, and I will be happy to completely derail the whole episode to tackle it.
There you go.
How's that?
How about that? Be interesting to see if anyone takes you up on that offer.
That's it.
All right. So let's dive into, we've been talking all week about drawing from others. And I'm curious, what's your discovery of the week, Bob?
I think my discovery of the week is not what I expected it to be. There have been 3 things. I know I said 2 days in my head there were great discoveries, things that you said that I was like, oh, I got to factor that in. But I think my ultimate discovery is that the power of observation is a really powerful way to draw on what other people are doing or not doing. And that when we started the week, I thought that drawing on others was going to be asking questions. And, putting yourself out there and saying, hey, I'm trying to figure this thing out. What do you think? Or how can I do this? What I realized yesterday on our Thursday program is it can be as much about me observing what other people do and gathering from them the little pieces of wool that I can somehow mold together into something that works for me. And that it's not coming at you like, oh, here's the perfect solution. It's rarely like it is in the movies. The aha moment is often the product of 10 or 12 things. I was listening to a song the other day. Craziest thing. I was listening to a song, and in the song, there was a lyric that described how I could move forward on something. And I've heard that song probably 10,000 times. It's a pretty frequent song for me. And it landed a different way. And I'm like, I can't believe that lyric is speaking to me. But it was just at that moment, it worked. And I think that's what we have available to us if we're open to it. And I think you said that really well over the course of the week. We have to be open to these outside forces that can draw in rather than, I can't let anyone know I'm not perfect. I can't let anyone know I'm overwhelmed. I can't let anyone know I'm stuck. That's the way to guarantee that you probably stay stuck for a lot longer.
Certainly.
And I've never heard anyone say, and I've become much more open about what's going on in my business world and my personal world. I haven't had anyone say, what is wrong with you? Why do you own a business if you don't know these answers? Did you really just say that to me? No one says that. Usually what they say is, wow, I had no idea. Or, gee, that's a lot to deal with. What can I do to help? Hey, you're helping right now by listening and not judging me. You're helping right now by considering this and saying, let me think about who I can put you in front of. Those are available to us. And that's the people that I see who would describe themselves as successful are very open to that kind of discussion. They're very honest with people. And I think we have this mythological thing where it's like, well, if you're successful in business, you don't talk to anyone. You just sit in your ivory tower and everything's perfect. And I just don't see it. I don't think Elon Musk sits in an ivory tower and doesn't talk to people. I think Elon Musk shakes it up with as many people as he can. And that's a big piece of success. Yeah. What do you think about that, Mr. Tom?
I like that. I mean, again, I love the idea about observing, and I thought that was a great conversation yesterday. It also reminded me of the conversation we had on Wednesday about the difficult things about drawing from others is in observing, you can observe a lot, and trying to sift through that can be a challenge. And I think it can be overwhelming, right? Like there's all these people that I could draw from. How do I ever choose? And I think that, that was a really fascinating thing, that in some regards, all the possibilities can sometimes get us as stuck as the challenges that we have in front of us, because there are so many to choose from, and how do we know which way to go? Can be as challenging as, I've got this problem that I can't figure out. How am I going to get through it? So I think, those two things were something that I really appreciated and definitely drew from our conversation this week. And yet I'm going to go with something different.
Whoa.
As my discovery of the week was, and I wrote about this in a LinkedIn post on Tuesday, that so often we go to those people who are in similar situations as ours. If you're in an industry, you feel like, oh, I've got to go to somebody in that industry because they're going to have all the answers. Or if you are in this situation, I need to go to somebody who's been in that situation so that they can tell me what they did. And as I got thinking about it, I think so often my discovery of the week is that they're going to give you a perspective that is probably pretty similar to yours. And is that really going to help you move forward? Or is that just going to put you in, this is what everybody does, this is the echo chamber that everybody talks about, and you get lost in that, I don't need to look beyond because all of it is right here. And, the point I made in my post was like, when was the last time you came home and asked your significant other, your kids, or someone, or a close friend who's got nothing to do with what your work situation or the situation you're in, and ask them what they thought? Because chances are they know things and they've had experiences that we don't always know about, and they have a perspective that is going to be very unique, very different. One of the things I think that we sometimes bring to the table in our Renegade Success Network most effectively is not always being in the industry that someone is in who we're working with, because we can ask questions in a different light. I had the opportunity, I don't think we talked about this, but I had the opportunity I reached out to somebody they were looking for help on a project, and the project was around HR. And if I shared the story, stop me. And it was around a certain task within policies at an organization. And they said they were looking for an expert. And I said, well, here's the thing. And they weren't sure. They looked at my website and weren't sure that how I could be helpful. And what I said is, well, I understand that. I would not consider, and I never consider myself an expert. And what I said was, though, I have had to work under policies that you are trying to write, and I have supervised people who've had to work under policies that you're trying to write. And so I think I see things from a little different perspective than somebody who always writes the policies. From the point that having to live with a policy that somebody wrote that doesn't always make sense. And so I think that, my discovery of the week is sometimes the person that's most beneficial to draw from is the least person that you would expect, because they are going to have a very unique perspective that might completely shift or open up you to some new ideas that you had never considered, because you were always talking to the people that you thought would have all the right, or all the solutions, all the answers. And so that's my discovery of the week, is sometimes if you're really stuck, go to somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with, or at least you believe they have nothing to do with it. Chances are pretty good that they've either been involved in the situation, know somebody who has, and can at least offer their perspective. And I would even say, even if they say, well, I'm not this, so I don't have the answer. So I understand that. And I'm interested in your perspective on it, because I want to look at things in a very different way.
That dovetails back to me talking to family members, because it's rare that family members are in the same industry, and often they don't even know what I'm doing at all.
Correct.
So I'm giving them information. They're just evaluating, like, this is completely new. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?
Correct. Because they aren't constrained.
They aren't jaded by what I've said to them in the past or what they know about the industry, other than the basics.
Correct. So that's my discovery of the week.
Okay. Well, mine would be very similar. We have access to a lot of people and a lot of power of observation if we put it out there in our mind, like, with intention. That's one of the things for me. It's like, today I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to observe how people interact with each other, when and how they shake hands. when and how they give out business cards. When they say, hey, we should talk about getting coffee together. How far? Is that like 2 minutes into the discussion? Is that 20 minutes into the discussion? And one that I'm always fascinated about at networking events is how they blow the person off who they're tired of talking to. It's like, oh, I see Steve over there. I got to go.
Or do they have a friend that's always coming over and like, hey, you got to come over and meet so-and-so.
Yes. And those are all things that you can observe. And it doesn't mean you have to do everyone. Sometimes I look at the way people do things and go, you know what? That's not me.
Sure.
But other times I look and go, that could be me.
Right.
With a slight shift or a big shift, that could be me. And I think there's a lot of following the leader that we do in business that we don't always realize. It's like, if something's working, why reinvent it?
Correct.
I always feel like I have to create something brand new from scratch. And the more I look at it, it's like, let's take what works really well. And you and I have been working on landing page for the Renegade Success Network. And we really drew on some other stuff instead of just going, you know what, let's make it the way we want and do it from scratch. And we saved ourselves probably a lot of time. We liked things, we didn't like things. And we just said, this is how it's going to be or not be based on what we observed and what we felt comfortable with. And just because you observe something and someone says something one way or does something one way, doesn't mean you have to do it that way. You can observe it and go, that's not me in my business. That's not me who I am as a person, and move on.
Absolutely. All right. Well, some great discoveries of the week. If you have a discovery of the week that you would like to share, you can feel free to put it in the comments here. Or every Friday in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, we have a post that talks about discoveries of the week. So feel free to go there and share either your discovery of the week talking about drawing from others, or some other discovery you've had this week that you found really valuable and think that if I put it out there, there might be somebody who could really benefit from that discovery. Because we know that there are people in there who are always looking for and being observant of what others are sharing so that they can take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. We hope that you have a wonderful Easter weekend, and we will see you Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time on our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it. Nothing more to say.
Fair enough. All right. Enjoy your weekend, Bob.
You too, Tom.
Hit the ball straight if you go to the golf course.
If only.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.